Hello and welcome to another episode of Time with Don. Don's Time. Basically, I've been wanting to do this video for a while. We're going to talk about philosophies on timekeeping, and I'm going to try to save you some money because there's a lot of mid to low end tier brands that are in the, let's say, $1,500 to $3,000 range that are complete garbage. And I'm going to go over the technical reasons why. The biggest reason is regulation. Lower end watches don't regulate them as tightly as COSC or higher end brands do in terms of their timekeeping ability. If you look at a $500 Seiko S whatever 007, that thing's going to be off by about 15 or 20 seconds a day. If you look at a $850 Christopher Ward, that's going to be off by 15 or 20 seconds a day. Some of the other brands, Sin, Damasco, they vary in their regulation too. But they're not going to be as regulated as tight as mainstream brands. And they don't have to be because they're ripping you off and they're selling $500 watches for $2,000 or $3,000. So if you want something that's going to be a beater, my philosophy is just go with quartz. Are they dog shit? Absolutely. This is a $238 piece with a $50 strap. This is total garbage. This is total absolute shit. This is filler, dog shit, and used just to look okay and decent and beat up when you have to do an activity like shooting a gun. Okay? And that's basically why I bought a watch like this, to do things like that. This watch I used to work out in. It's a Bulova Precisionist. As you can see, it has a sweeping second hand. So even though this is a dog shit quartz piece, this dog shit quartz piece is only off by 10 seconds a year. And it has a sweeping second hand because the crystal vibrates at 210,000 vibrations per minute instead of the usual quartz 32,000 vibrations per minute. A quartz piece in general is only going to be off by 15 seconds a month, like this one that's cheap, to 10 seconds for this. And then there's a higher end quartz, this Grand Seiko. This is only off by 5 seconds per annum, 5 seconds per year, which is absolutely stunning because it has a thermocompensated movement. It's just the tolerances are tighter. This is a $2,900 watch, okay? This is a $650 watch. This is a $238 watch. If you want a beater watch, I just go quartz. Why? Well, your mileage may vary. Some people are less anal retentive about the technical reason of timekeeping. When you start going to manually wound and automatic watches, you have to go to some mainstream brands to get it to be regulated correctly. And this is an entry-level Omega Seamaster Diver 300. It's $4,500. This is off by 4.5 seconds to 3.5 seconds a day. So let's just say it's off by 4. This is a Tudor with an 8-atom movement, a 2824, that's got an escapement that has been regulated by Rolex standards, which are tight, and it has a incredible modification done to the shock absorber system. And this thing is only off by 2 seconds a day. This is a manly round Nomos Ludwig. This is only off by 2 seconds a day. And this is a $2,350 watch. This is a $3,300 watch. This is the entry point for automatics in terms of pricing. This is the entry point of manually wound movements in terms of pricing to get extreme accuracy for automatics. If you go out and buy watches in the $500 range, which is fine. If you get like a Seiko Diver SBX whatever 007 dive scuba tuna whatever watch, you're going to be spending $500, $600, $700, $800 for those, and they're going to be off by 15, 20 seconds a day. Generally 10 to 15 new, and then they'll get a little worse. And I have no problem with that because they're only $500, $600 pieces. They're in the same price range as these puppies. Now, some people would say that's dog shit, but it's not, because when you start going into some of the, I'll just say, watch wannabe brands, like Christopher Ward, those watches are going to be in the $800 range, $500 range to $1,000 range. And so let's just say they're averaging $850. Those watches are still going to be off by 15, 20 seconds a day, and you're paying double what you would for a freaking Seiko. Then you're going to the Damascos, the Sins, those things, you know, Squale, and all that shit. Now you're spending, you know, $1,000 to $2,000 to almost $3,000 for unregulated movements that don't balance the springs in the hands properly. What do I mean by that? Well, just because you stick and add a movement into a watch doesn't mean the watch is going to run perfectly fine. It's all about the regulation of the movement and how they regulate it and how they adjust the springs to the hands so they don't beat up the driveline components as much. Normal base edit movements are designed to be like tractors, and there's 5 different grades of springs, by the way, 5 different grades of balance springs, which basically creates a big difference in the cheaper movements as the more expensive ones. With those different spring rates, you're going to have different driveline deterioration of different components, particularly different gears, wheels, pinions, jewels, and also how well they lubricate it. So also those cheaper watches in the $1,500 to $3,000 range, people aren't going to, I don't know if they're going to be servicing them as much. They don't have the service ability or service center that a Rolex would have or an Omega would have. So those watches tend to go unloved after 10 years, and some people might not get them fixed, some people do. It depends, you know, your mileage may vary. Now I'm saying in generalities, general, because there's a lot of people that are going to be offended by some statements because they might get a good one. You know, I'm not saying you won't, but I say always try before you buy. If it's not keeping time right, send it back. If it's off by, if you spend $2,000 on a watch and it's off by 10 or 15 seconds a day, get rid of it, send it back. Don't waste your money. Now, if it's only off by 2 or 3, then by all means, keep it. You know, I'm not a brand snob. I am somebody that likes accuracy, that likes good quality finishing, that likes movements that work, that are well put together. And then eventually, once you get over the $3,000, $4,000 range to the entry-level accurate timekeeping, then there's other quality things you have to look for. A free sprung balance, for example. All Rolexes have free sprung balances. What does that mean? A free sprung balance doesn't have a regulator organ over the escapement mechanism. The escapement mechanism is the part that oscillates, that keeps time. If the escapement doesn't do that, the spring's just going to unwind freely and you won't have any spring left. So it literally stops the spring, starts the spring, stops the spring, starts the spring. That's where the tick-tock comes from. Higher end movements have a free sprung balance that is very durable because they put the balance screws actually on the balance wheel where the balance spring is. And when they do it that way, there's no regulating organ over top of the spring itself, and it has better synchronicity because everything is free sprung and the spring's just doing its thing. Those tend to keep time longer because if you drop it, ding it, or do any shock to the watch in general, it will have more robust design and something that has a regulating organ that can throw off the regulation of the watch. Okay? That's why Rolexes and some of the higher end pieces, Patek, and some even lower end, like some of the Omega 8500 movements, are all free sprung balances, you know, in the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 range. So you don't have to spend that kind of money all the time to go to a Rolex to get the kind of accuracy that you want. And that's basically why I am not a big advocate for the, I'll say, poser wannabe Squale and, you know, Damasco and those type of watches, because they're not going to have the tolerances or the customer service as a watch. It only costs a couple bucks more anyway. This is, you know, you can get one of these for $3,000 or $4,000. You can get this for $3,300. You can get this for $2,000. If you're spending that kind of money anyway, go to a real brand that has customer service, that can get you the watch fixed, that you can trust, that's just more consistent. And if you buy those other brands, I'm not saying don't, but use your 30-day period or whatever they give you. And if you don't like the watch, by God, send it back. Because if it's all, it's BS that these watches are off by 15-20 seconds a day. And if you want to say it's off by 15-20 seconds a day, go spend $200, $300. You're not going to hurt anything. You know, if you want an Aramos or whatever it's called, you know, $250, go ahead, buy that watch. But, you know, if you don't have the pain of having the correct regulation, it's fine if you spend that money, but you're getting ripped off if you're spending $1,500 to $3,000. That's all I'm trying to say. That's the point of this video. That's why I like IWC. They take ETA movements and they pimp them out, or they have their own movements. The same with Omega. They do the same thing. This is an ETA movement that they put the coaxial in. This is the same with Tudor. You don't have to go in-house to get good watches, but you have to go to main companies in general to get good regulation, and that's the point. Time with Don, Don's time. Tell me what you think. Cheers.